Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks, and I'm so happy that you're joining me in this tutorial. Today we are going to make this sleepy time chubby bear. I have one on my channel made with my Addy circular knitting machine, and it was requested that I do one on the loom, so here it is. I hope you enjoy it. I used a 31 and a 12 peg loom for this project, and I used Colorama O'Go yarn. Now I know that it is discontinued because when I knew that it was going off the shelves because it was on such a good sale, I bought up a bunch of it, and you can see it here in in the drawer. I took it all apart and made it into cakes, and now I'm finally using it for a project. I can't tell you what the color name is on it because I threw out all the cardboard. I know, silly, but if you can still get it, then you'll just Google it and you'll find the yarn colors, but I'm pretty sure that it's not available. However, I think you can get them in individual balls. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, use your favorite bulky yarn for this project. And if you don't have that, then just use 2 strands of 4-weight medium worsted weight yarn, and it will be just as beautiful. So grab your favorite yarn, grab your looms, and let's get on with this project. But before you do so, please don't forget to hit that like, thumbs up button, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'll have a link to my Facebook group in the description box below as well. Friends, I will make a quick mention of my PayPal link. I offer you all my patterns from my heart for free, and there's no strings attached, none at all. But if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can click on that PayPal link, and that would help me out too, and I would appreciate it so much. So thanks again for joining me in this tutorial, and don't forget to show me your projects. All right, my friends, we are going to start. I'm going to start with this beautiful chocolate brown color. I'm going to use this little gadget that I bought, this boy. Little, I don't know what it's called, but you know, you can find it in your craft stores. I got it in Michael's. Get it on line as well. And I'm going to just pull that through. I'm going to put a slip knot on the end here. I'm going to attach this loop to my anchor peg. So once our loop is on our anchor peg, we're going to cast on. So I'm going to I just push this up the yarn tail here so I can use my hands to cast on. We're going to go behind peg 1, in front of peg 2. Behind and in front all the way around. Loosely casting on. You want to have a lot of slack on your yarn because when we're knitting it off in the next round, it'll make it easier. It's not going to compromise the look of your work, so make sure you do this round light. I'm behind peg 31. I'm going to go in front of peg 1 and all the way around, just loosely wrapping at the top of every peg, just like so, till I get to the beginning. Then I'm going to just wrap that around peg 1 and hold it off with my fingers. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knit off peg 1. There we go. Then I can drop that. Then I'm going to go back and knit off every peg that has 2 loops. Just like that, up and over. This is our drawstring cast on. Oops, let me get that out of the way. Here we go. Now we've got every peg knit off. We're going to push these all down, all the way around. From there, I am going to pull this little tool down. I'm going to wrap my yarn into the tensioner and have the tensioner facing the table because I find that it doesn't snag and it works a lot better. Then what I'm going to do is we're going to E-wrap peg 1, peg 2, 3, 4, all the way around. So behind and in front, behind and in front, behind and in front and around, making sure there's slack coming out of your ball. Just like this. See how nice this tool is? Oh, I just love it. It took a while to get used to though. At first when I had it, I couldn't get my tension right. And then, you know, once one lets go, then they all let go. And it was just like a gong show, but now it's great. So in between those two and around, and I'm just going to hold it secure. I'm going to knit off peg 31. Then I can just drop this down like that, let it go, and knit off every peg. Bottom loop over the top loop. Doesn't matter if you come from underneath like this, or if you go from over top and scoop it up like this. I don't like doing that. You can tell it's awkward for me, but unless I'm holding it a certain way on my lap. But generally, and more often than not, I scoop from the bottom and come up all the way around, completing row 1. Get that tool out of the way. So this is the E-wrap. We're going to do that for our whole project. And we're going to change colors every 15 rows. Or you can just keep going with this color. But I'm going to push these down. Row 1 complete. Mark that on my counter. I have a Susan Bates handheld counter, and I'm going to mark that. Then I'm going to pull that up. I haven't got it right beside me, but I'll catch up when I'm off the camera here. Then we're going to E-wrap again, pushing all those loops down. E-wrap row 2. And we're going to just E-wrap until we get to the end there. Then I go between the last peg and the first peg, hold it with my fingers, knit off that last peg. Then I can drop this and continue around. But I can now release my anchor peg, push that down into the back here, and I'm going to knit off, mark round 2, and I'm going to do this for 15 rounds, and then I'll be back and we will change colors together. All right, so once we're finished our 15 rows, we are going to cut our yarn tail. We're going to push these down. Doesn't take long when you're E-wrapping, does it? So fun, I love it. You're gonna grab your second color, pop your tail in there. You're gonna grab your second color. For me, it's gonna be this mossy green color that was also attached to the ball. And I'm going to insert that in. Pull it out. Then we're going to tie a little slip knot on this end. Just like so. Pop it over peg 1. With your tail on the inside as well, you're going to take these two, you're going to give them a tie. Okay, to secure. You can cut those off a little bit shorter if you like. Aren't those colors beautiful together? Then you're going to pop this down closer to your needles here, or your pegs, and you're going to continue wrapping. And you're going to do this for another 15 rows. Okay, friends, do 15 rows of your second color, then come back and I'll give you further instructions. Or if you're staying with the same color, do another 15 rows of your same color and then come back and see me. Okay, friends, this is what we got and it is beautiful. I love it. You know, this was a moss. When I didn't hold it next to this brown, I seen it more as a moss kind of green, but now that I hold it next to this brown and it's worked in, it looks like just like a beige with a tinge of green, and it is gonna be beautiful together. Oh, I'm gonna love this. Okay, so this is basically half of our project, okay, because this is gonna be the body, this is gonna be the head. Because we're knitting it with the E-wrap, you see those holes. That to me is not acceptable to stuff a single layer, because then you see the fiber through it and it just does not look professional. It doesn't look nice. You want to take the time to make it nicer so that you don't see the stuffing through. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of this now. So we did 15 rows of this chocolate brown, 15 rows of this lighter color. Now we're going to do 15 more rows of this lighter color. Then we're going to switch and we're going to do 15 rows of the dark color. So then you have 15 of the dark, 30 of this color, and then another 15 of the dark. Okay, so once I have 15 more rows done in this color, I'm going to come back and do a color change for those of you who need it. Otherwise, keep going, and then we'll cast off together. So I'm going to do another 15 rows of this color, then I'm going to switch and I'm going to do 15 of this color. Okay, friends, there we go. Oh, I love it. I just love this yarn. I'm so sad that they discontinued it, because to me, oh, it's just such a great yarn. I think that you can get it in, like, don't quote me on it, but I think you can get it in solid colors. It's just not in the O'Go donuts. I could be totally out to lunch on that, but I think that's what it is. But the yarn is so beautiful. I just love it. So I just put my next color, this first color, through the tool there. And I'm going to attach this little loop to my first peg. That's how I'm attaching my second color, my next color. Okay, so we're going to pull that down. Then we're going to do 15 rows of this chocolate brown. Okay, I can't believe how fast this went. It is it has been fun. I'm loving it. I have to tie these two as well. Get some slack on that ball here. Just want to get going. Get you going. Around and around and around. There we go. Bring that in between. Just like that. I'm going to knit off this last peg. And then I can drop that. I better tie these two before I forget. Give these ones a nice firm knot. Then I can cut them shorter, drop them down, and continue on for 15 more rows. All right, friends, enjoy the process. You're almost at the end of the body and the head, and then we'll move on. 15 rows of this chocolate brown, and I'll see you when you're done. All right, friends, so if you're back with me, that means you have finished and it's looking great. You're going to take your yarn tail and you're going to go around your loom. 1, 2 and a half. And you're going to cut that off. Then this comes apart. This little thing snaps into here. Just like that. Put that aside. And we are going to remove our project from our loom with a drawstring cast off. Okay, so let's pop our yarn tail on our needle. We're going to put this yarn tail between the last and the first peg, and then we're going to go up the loop of the first peg and pull through. Then up the loop on peg 2 and peg 3 and all the way around your loom. Once you get to peg 31, you'll finish that one. Then you'll come back and you'll do one again, just because I like to join those two as well. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to continue doing this all the way around your loom, doing peg 1 at the very end. And if it starts to get tight on you as you're doing this, you can gladly take your loom pick and don't remove the first one, because you're going to redo that one yet. And you can move some of these off to give it some slack, and it's not going to be quite so tight on you. Okay, so go ahead, remove your project from your loom, and then come back and see me. All right, so now we're going to tackle a hat. We're going to take this beautiful soft peachy color that was with the skein or the donut, and we're going to pop that onto our anchor peg. We're going to do an E-wrap cast on. Okay, so we're going to go behind and in front, all the way around. You know how to E-wrap. All the way around. You see how fun this thing is? Oh my goodness. Okay, push down those loops. go around, E-wrap again, knit off, and that is your cast on. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to knit E-wrap 8 rows, and then we're going to make a brim. Okay, so this is my cast on, I'm not counting it. There we go. Cast on complete. Once I get all these pegs knit off. I just finished knitting off my cast on row. Now I'm ready to begin my 8 rows. So we're going to E-wrap, E-wrap and knit off, E-wrap and knit off, E-wrap and knit off 8 times for 8 rows. Okay, friends, so once you have your 8 rows done, you'll meet back up with me and we are going to attach the brim. Once you do this first row and another row, then remove your anchor peg. Okay, so 8 rows of E-wrap and knitting off, and I'll see you back. Now that we have 8 rows done, I'm going to angle my camera a little bit differently to see if that helps. Put your yarn tail between the last peg and the first peg. We're going to push these down at least halfway. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to follow this row from peg 1. It's easy to see, all the way down to the bottom there. There's our yarn tail. And you're going to take that loop. It's right at the bottom there, and you're going to pop it over peg 1. You're going to go to the next one, and when you just roll this out so that you have the top row up, you're going to take this, let me just hold this a little differently, this very next loop, and this one's kind of loose, but you're going to take this very next loop, and you're going to pop it over peg 2. Let's tighten that one. There we go. If you pull on this yarn tail, it will tighten this first loop. I should have done that, okay? Now you're going to roll this up, and you'll see, here's the one that's over this peg. If you look, you'll see this one's underneath, so you grab that one, and you put it over the next peg. Yep. Unroll that, and you see where the next one's coming out from under there? You just pick it up, and you put it over the next peg. We're going to continue this all the way down. You don't even have to use your loom hook, really. It's nice and loose. I'm not going to. There's the next one. You just pop it over the next peg. And the next one, pop it over. And you do that all the way around, changing my mind. Pushing down there a little bit, bringing it up. Grabbing the next one and bringing it up. They're very, very easy to find. Hold that down with some tension. I've got my fingers on there, holding it down with some tension like that, and that helps me to find this next one a little bit easier. Put that down, and just like that, that's what we're going to do, friends. Pick up that very top row, put it on there, and we're going to do that all the way around, and then I'll meet you back when I get to the end, okay? I'm on the last one. I'm going to make sure my tail is between that last peg and the first peg, and I'm going to pull that up and over. I've got this tail here, but I'm going to just leave it hanging there, and I'm going to tie it off later because it's loose and it's attached to this loop. So we're going to knot it off once we get our hat off the loom, and we're going to hide it after that. So don't worry about that little tail. We're going to take the bottom loop over the top loop, and we are going to knit off. And then our brim is made. And there you go. We've got this cute little brim. Now what we're going to do is we're going to continue E-wrapping and knitting off until we get our beanie to the length that we want it. So E-wrapping, just like we were doing. And knitting off. There we go. I've got my 20 rows. Then you're going to cut off a tail. And we're going to remove our piece. And same way we've been doing, drawstring cast off. Underneath, oh, push these down part way, makes it easier. Underneath each stitch, pull up go all the way around, and then when you get to the last peg, go back and do peg 1 again, and then take your loom pick and remove all your stitches off the pegs and meet me back. All right, we have it off. It looks big, but we will make it fit, so don't worry. We're going to, before we put it aside, we're going to just finish it off. Might as well. Okay, so we're going to just pull that tight. I'm going to cut this long tail off, get it out of the way. Grab my needle. Oh, you guys, my work table is such a mess right now. Oh, my word. I can't stand a mess anywhere, like in my house, anywhere. But when my workstation gets all cluttered with things, I can't stand that either. So once I'm done this beanie, I need to clean up a little bit and finish the rest of the project. So here we go. I'm just going to reinforce it. We're going to add a little pom-pom to this guy yet, but we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to set that aside. We're going to just tie it off. Push down that knot with your thumb. One more. Pop your hand in there. Pop this down through the center. Pull it through. Pull it, give it a little tug to pop that knot down into the center. Cut it off. Now we have to deal with this little one. I talked about this when we made the brim. I'm going to pop that on there. I'm just going to go on the inside here and make a little knot. 1 and 2. And this is too short for me to sew this guy onto the actual bear, so I'm going to just cut it off, weave it in, cut it off, and then I'll add a piece of yarn. Okay. And there we go. Looks big and long, but it'll be perfect because we're going to have this coming down, and then we'll cinch this onto the head, so it'll be perfect. Let's put that aside. Let's grab our 12 peg loom and your brown yarn. We're going to make the ears and then set those aside. All right, so I have my loom. I'm going to grab the dark brown. We're going to do a drawstring cast on. Pop a slip knot onto there, put it onto your anchor peg in between the first and the last peg. Then what we're going to do, and we've done this several times already, we're going to go behind and in front, loosely casting on. Behind and in front, behind, in front of peg, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a 12 peg loom. I have to count it again. In front of peg 12, in front of peg 1, and all the way around. Don't pull this tight or you'll be regretting it. I'm going to go in front of peg 1 and just hold it with my fingers. I'm going to knit off peg 12 and 10 and 8 and 6, 4 and 2. From there, what happened here? This is supposed to be like that. From there, we're going to do an E-wrap. So we've got our cast on done. We're going to E-wrap peg 1, peg 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Knit off peg 12 first, then knit off all the way around. Then you're going to E-wrap 7 rows in total. Okay, so E-wrap, knit off 7 rows, then you're going to cut a tail. You're going to put this on your needle, and you're going to cast off the way we have been doing. Just going underneath that last loop and pulling it through, removing your piece. So we've done a drawstring cast on. We are going to E-wrap 7 rows, and we're going to do a drawstring cast off. Make 2. When you have 2 of these made, set them aside. Grab whatever color that you want for your nose. Typically I do white, but this time I'm going to go out of the box and I'm going to use a darker color because I just love this color and it goes so nicely. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to drawstring cast on, knit 7 rows, E-wrap 7 rows, sorry, and drawstring cast off. So this is for the nose. Choose whatever color you like. Drawstring cast on, 7 rows. Why am I holding up 2 fingers? 7 rows E-wrapped, and then drawstring cast off. Set that aside and we'll get back to it. And when you're done that, grab your main body piece and we're going to start assembly. Let's grab our body. The one we had put aside a long time ago already. And we are going to grab our fiber fill and grab a little needle for cinching the ends, and we will get going on this part. You're going to take one end and you're going to pull that yarn tail, making sure that you always smooth this out as you go so you don't have this big bunch of messy yarn gathering at the top. So smooth it out, then pull it, smooth it out, and pull, and continue that process. I'm going to then take my yarn tail and we're going to go around and we're going to pick up the top row of stitches and reinforce our top here. Pull, smooth out the next section, go underneath those stitches and pull and smooth out. I'm going to go all the way around once. I think I have one little section left. Okay, I'm going to pull. Then I'm going to take 1 or 2 strands here, tie a knot. I only need to do one. Pull that down with your thumb. Put your hand into the tube. Pop that needle in through the center at the top there. Grab it with your hand on the inside so you don't snag the sides of your work. Pinch it at the top and pull it through. So now you've just put your work in half. Pull that through, pull that knot out. And now you're going to cinch this other end the same way, making sure that this outside tail, that inside tail stays out, okay? So just smooth this out, pull, smooth, pull, take your needle and go around once to reinforce the top and then meet me back. Once we have that completed, you're going to pull on the inside one up to the top here. And I hope you stretched out your work. I did that before I was even on camera. It was just a natural thing for me to do. And I didn't remind you to do it, but we can do it now too. Then you're going to tie a knot. And maybe 3 times. You're going to take this tail, cut it off. Then I'm going to turn it the other way so that tail's on the inside. Then you can take your work, and if you haven't stretched it out already, go ahead and do that. What we're going to do next is we're going to turn it. This is the bottom. This is the head. We're going to take yarn in the head color, and we're going to, one that wraps around your piece 1 1/4, 1.5 times. And we're going to find the row where, this is where peg 31 and peg 1 are. So I'm going to always have that in the back. And I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to go underneath the same color, underneath one stitch, over the next. Under one, over the next, under one. And we're going to do that all the way around to create a separation from the body to the head. And it's important that you use the same color because then you're not going to see the division, but also making sure that you're actually taking the color of your head. Don't take the brown and then go into these brown because it'll make your body too short. You want to, essentially what this is doing is it's shortening the head by 1 row, which is good. Better to have the head a little bit smaller than the body, than the head bigger and the body smaller. So choose your head color and go around just like what I've just done, like this. Once you're finished that, you're going to grab another piece of yarn, same color. We're going to work at the top. You want to take your hand inside and you want to just spread it out and smooth out this piece so that this piece is exactly in half, just like that. Okay, and you can get to the base of it. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to flip this up. I'm going to go under 1 row, over 1, under 1, over 1, under 1, all the way around, and this is how we're going to be able to close the bottom. Pull it through. Continue on just like so. Doesn't take very long to do. and it's going to allow us again to close it. Continue all the way around. Our little guy is coming right along. We're going to grab some stuffing, some fiber fill, and we're going to begin stuffing. Popping that into the base of our bear. Grabbing some more. You want them to be chunky, but you don't want them to be so chunky that these go like that. I mention that in pretty much every video where I use stuffing, because right away you can have an absolutely beautifully done piece and then you stuff it too full and it's like that and it takes away from the look of it right away. So be very, very aware of that. Tuck that up in there. Pull this to see if it's how it's looking. Because we've got it double lined, you can go a little bit fuller, but you still want to just make sure that you're not overdoing it. I'm going to put a little bit more in there. I feel like that's good. I'm going to tie this. Well, I think I can put more in there, friends. I'm going to put a little bit more. It's a guessing game, isn't it? We go through so much fiber fill as crafters. Loom knitters and circular knitters on the Addy and Center machines. You check out my channel because I have lots of videos on that too. You might just want to get yourself one of those machines if you haven't done so already. They are so much fun. And we go through so much fiber fill. That's okay. It's par for the course. Pop that in there. I think that's going to be probably more than I need now. Then I'm going to tie this. Here's another tip. Do not pull on this till it's cinched as tight as you can get it. We don't want a really skinny necked animal. We want to just tie it so it's just so you feel that it's tight. Okay, so now I'm going, that's where it's tight. Okay, I'm going to give this a half a turn. That helps me hold it. I figured this out last week in loom knitting because I always say I need another set of hands to tie this knot, because every time I go to do this part, then it loosens again. And then just naturally, I turned it a half a turn and I thought, oh my goodness, that helped. So that's what I do now. And so now I'm going to just push that stuffing back up into there. Assess it. I think that's good. But now you can see where we have the hills and the valleys. I call them the hills and the valleys. This is where we went under. This is where we went over. I do not like that look either. So we are going to give this a little bit of a tighter neck when we're done stuffing the body. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that so that we don't see that, because that attention to detail is everything in a project. If you pay attention to all the little details, you will have a way nicer piece. And so I'm going to show you what I do with that once we get this head stuffed. Okay, go in there. I'm going to pull this just to see where I'm at. Oh, that's looking beautiful. Oh, see, it just comes together and it's so awesome. So awesome. I love it. I get so excited when I see these little critters take shape. They're just so beautiful. I'm looking at that, looking at it. I think that's a little too much. I'm going to take a little out. It is the head. You don't want it bigger than the body. We're going to, that's perfect. I'm going to now tie this off. Being careful not to snap it. It's still open a little bit, but I'm going to fix that. I'm going to take this, tie it in a knot. Then we're going to go around with one of these tails. We're going to reinforce the very bottom, just like what we did before, just to close it, tie it off in a knot, hide that yarn tail into your work. All right, now that we have that done, it's time to fix this neck. We're going to take the longest strand that's still there, and if you don't have one long enough, you just add a new one. Easily done. We're going to go over the hills, under the valleys. Over the hill, under the valley. Might be hard to get in there, but persevere. It's only a few stitches. Over, under, staying on the same color. Over, under. This is like magic. It makes such a difference. Over, under, and if you're going under the stitch, pull down with your finger there, and you can get under it a lot easier. Over, under, over, under, all the way around. Made it all the way around, but just barely. Now we're going to tie these two and we're going to cinch again. Not very much though, because I liked the way the head was before, but I'll show you what this does. See that? Look at the difference. Go back on the video if you need to see the difference where we saw those hills and valleys and now we don't have them. Okay, I'm going to tie this in a knot. And I hardly pulled. It's a little cinched a little bit more than what I like, but it'll be fine in the end. And we're going to, I just have to reshape the heads with my hand. Underneath. Pull it out. Cut it off. There, it's actually not cinched too much now. It's perfect. Grabbing some brown thread and a longer needle, we are going to go up into the base. Where's our back? Make sure this is the back, okay? I'm going to find the middle on the other side, which is about here. We're going to go up into that point, and we're just going to make short little stitches until we gradually grow them. And I'll show you what I mean. Into there. Pull enough tail to hide, then go straight across. Come back out where you went in. And pull. Then you're going to go over. I only do go over to reinforce the bottom, and then I'll do it a little bit different. You're going to go down about 1 inch and then come up in between 2 rows. Then from there, here's where I'm coming up. Here's where my other stitch started. I'm going to go in at the top of that stitch. And I'm going to come down and I'm going to come up about 1 inch. Basically what we're doing is we're just bringing these two sides together for feet, for legs, okay? See how that's pulling that in? Then from here, I'm going to go down to where it started on this side and come back up to where it started on this side. I'm going to pull. Then I'm going to go follow that same row. I'm going to go up 2 stitches, come back 2 stitches. I'm going to pull, then I'm going to go down and meet where I came out before, and I'm going to go where my stitch is there, and I'm going to pull. I'm going to continue this until my legs are as high as I want them. This is 3, following the same rows. See what that's doing? I'm going to do it one more time. 3, and then up. And you can only go 1 if you like. It's not, you don't have to do 2 stitches every time you do it because you don't see this part. You just want to work it so it's to where you want it. And I'm going to go back down to where that stitch ended. Come up. You see what I'm doing, okay? And I'm going to assess it from the front. Once my hands are in there, I think that's far enough, because once we get the arms in there, we can always go back and change it if we want. So I'm just going to go up to where I met that first one. Actually, I'm going to go up 1 more stitch. I'm hesitating, so I'm going to go up 1 more stitch. Not 2, just 1. Happy medium. There we go. Then I'm going to go back down. Just like that. Pull it through. Yeah, I like that. Then I'm just going to trail this down to the point. If I pull this now, I'm going to gather it in here, which I do not want to do. So I'm going to take this other. Oh, did I work it in? I thought something looked a little weird. That's why I was looking at it. Oh, there it is. We're going to pull you out. Okay. And then we're going to, I'm not going to tie this one tight because I don't want to gather it in there. I'm going to just tie that one loosely, but right firm to the piece. Then I'm going to tie this one tight. Okay. Then I'm going to cut those 2 off. Put them back on my needle. pop them into that center, under the stuffing, and out somewhere on the project. Pull them up, cut them off. Go ahead and grab yourself another piece of yarn, a good length. We're going to do the arms. Once we have our yarn on our needle, and I switch back to my smaller one because I like the point better, we're going to turn this little guy on his side, and we're going to just go into the neck and across, picking up a little section. I think I have 4 rows in there. Pull it through, leaving long enough for a tail later. Then we're going to just come down at a slight angle. So I'm going to cross over this next row and come down and out the back. And because this part here isn't worked, I've got to go back up to the top here and then come down where I ended my stitch there. And then I'm going to give that a little tug. Then I'm going to come down 1 stitch, come back to the back, straight through, and give this a little pull. I'm not pulling too tight, I just want to shape it, but I don't want to cinch it. And then back up because it's not worked here. Back up and into the space where I came out before. And pull on that. I'm going to now come back across, over 1 row I should say, and then out the back. And back up here, because that's not worked, out where I finished off my stitch there. And just pull it lightly. And then I'm going to come back over 1 more row. So I went over a row, then I came down. I think I did it twice, maybe just once. You'll have to watch. Then I went back over a row. Now I'm going to go back over a row and out the back. And I'm going to assess the situation. I think that's good. Okay, here's where the top of the legs are, and up 2 stitches is where I'm ending the arms. You have to just eyeball it yourself and see what you think works good, but I'm actually not going to end it there. I'm going to come back up. I'm going to do 1 more. You have to take your time, then you have to look at it and you have to say, okay, am I happy with that or am I not? And I'm going to go over 1 more row and into the back. It would have been fine the way I had it, but I think it needed to go 1 more. Like that, okay? A little bit more over to the side here. Then I'm going to work this up. Underneath and up to where my yarn tail is. I'm going to cut this off. Tie a knot. I'm not going to tighten this one too tight because I don't want it to gather in here from that yarn tail being drawn up. And the second knot I'll tighten. Then I'm going to hide my tails and I'm going to do the other side exactly the same. Then I'm going to play with this so that my rows are not so spread out. Popping that onto your needle, hiding it into your work, and out. Pull up on your stitches to hide that yarn tail. And there we go. We've got 1 arm done. I'm going to go do the other one on the other side. All right, friends, there we go. It's looking good so far. His head looks big, but that's only because we haven't put the beanie or the ears on. Once we do that, then it makes it look smaller. Because we played with this to bring in the arms and the legs, our body looks much smaller than the head. But again, trust me, it's going to change. Grab your ears. We're going to go from this to this. By taking our piece, we're going to just stretch it out. We're going to cinch one end. Put that on our yarn needle. No need to reinforce this one. Put this on our yarn needle. Poke it through that center. Out the other end. Pull it through. Grab this other one. Make sure you smooth out that top as you cinch. Even important on a small piece. Then we're going to just flatten it into a pancake. Bringing those two centers together, pulling up on that first one that you did. I'm going to cut off the shortest one of these because we don't need both. I need one for sewing. I'm going to tie a knot and tie a knot. And I'm going to cut this shorter one off. Put this long one back onto my needle. I'm going to trail this, once I flatten this out, make it nice and perfect, I'm going to trail this up to the side. And then I'm going to make sure you don't pull on it because you don't want to gather that section. And to ensure that you don't, you just want to tie one little knot here, just like that, okay? Then you're going to fold this in half with your yarn tail on the side, and you're going to seam it up the side. Go through, and then from that other side, you're going to come through to this side. And from this side, you're going to go through to the other side. Just picking up one strand. We don't want a really thick, bulky seam. And we're going to bring that across, making sure your tail on your needle, this other tail isn't too long because then it gets caught in your sewing, okay? I'm just picking up each row and in between the rows. Till we get it to the other end, just like that. Now we're going to trail this down to the end of that side, tie a little knot, bring it across to this side, and then pull that little center together, just like that. Then we have our shaped ear with a flat bottom there. We're going to take that ear, we're going to take our little guy, and you might be thinking, well, you know what, you're going to use a beanie, so why are you using a second ear? And I've had that question on my my Addy knitting bear, and the reason is because it holds the beanie into a nice shape when it's sitting on the head. So you need to put both on, okay? But bring this back out to the very point. And again, I always secure whenever I bring it out so I don't start to gather any areas that I don't want gathered. We're going to take a look at our bear. We're going to place it on our head. So here's the top of the head. We're going to go down and down. And when you're on the very center of the arm here, move it one row over to the front, okay? We don't want it in the center of the head. We want it, we don't want it in the center of the head from here to here, like right there. We want to come a little bit, just a tiny bit further. And about an inch down from the point, okay? Then we're going to take our needle. We're going to pick up a row, attach to that, then come through the base, attach it. Then you can pick up the ear and go this way, okay? Once you get attached, go under, pick up both layers if you can, then pick up the very base, and pull. Following that same row, I'm going to go under as many layers as I can, picking even up a bit of stuffing that will help to secure it. And I'm going to continue in that manner till I get that to the top, just like that. Okay? Then I am not going to tie this off and hide the end until I get my second ear on, because we want to make sure that they're even. So go ahead, attach both ears just in the same manner, and I'll see you back. When I have both ears placed and I like where they are and I think they look proportionate to one another, then I can go ahead and take my tails, tie them off in a knot, and hide the ends. One knot, and 2, and hide my ends, cut them off. We are then going to take the nose, we're going to form it into a circle, just like we did the ears, but we're not going to fold it in half, of course. We're just going to leave it in a flat circle. We're going to pop that at the front of the face. We're going to take this long tail. We're going to do what we did with that one, with the other ones too. We're going to bring it up to the side. Don't pull on it because you'll compromise the look of your circle. Tie a knot. Then you're going to place him on, and place your knot at the top because that'll be covered by the black that you use. Place it on there so that it's in the center of the face and goes almost down to the neck. You have one stitch at the neck, in between the nose and the neck. Place that on there. And then when you sew on, you're going to pick up right close to the seam of the piece. You do not want to see little lines of sewing going across, okay? So you're going to pick up, then you're going to pick up. Then you're going to go right by the seam there, right by the edge, I should say, pick up, and then pick up and pull down. And you're going to go around just like that. You can just even pick up at the same time if you like. Pick up the head, and that's what I'm going to do now that I've started. Right down, here's the edge. I'm going to go right down underneath, so to speak, of that edge, or right as close to it as you can get. I don't know if I like this bright pink on here. When I get the black on, I'm sure I will. Trying to step out of the box and not be so, like, I like soft colors like this, but I'm not one to use bright colors in any way. On my channel, I've tried to do that with different pieces using bright colors, and every time I do, I say I love it, and I do. So I knew that I needed to step out of the box with this one too, and and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to continue all the way around until I get to the top here. I've made it all the way around, so I'm just going to go ahead and knot it off. Hide my tail. There we go. See how much smaller that head already looks? So now what we're going to do is grab some black yarn and this same needle, pointy needle, and we will finish the face before we do the beanie. Taking our black yarn, we're going to come up from the side here. And we're gonna, here's the point of our pink piece right here, of our nose piece. We're gonna go up quite a bit. I do not like big, thick, black sections for a nose. So we wanna make it a little bit smaller. Think smaller than you normally would. Sometimes you see bears, and you know what? I'm not criticizing anybody's work. I'm just saying, sometimes they make the nose half of this thing, and that's way too big, okay? So try to make it a little bit smaller. Go up to there, then come across. We can always make it bigger as we go, and I'm making it small enough here that I probably will make it bigger as I go, but we're gonna start smaller than what you think you should, okay? Then make a V, come down into that point, come right up next to this little guy that we just put in, right under the lip of that pink piece, pull it through. Now we've made our V for our nose. We're going to come down, line it up nicely beside this one, come down into that same point, and then come up to this side. And let's repeat that on this side. Now, as you fill in this nose, this point here becomes square. And so then we gradually take our point down. And when we take our point down, we gradually have to make this a little bit wider. So it's all like, if you start out too wide, if you start from there to there, thinking that's what your perimeters you're going to use, it ends up getting even wider. And that's what I mean. Try to make it a little bit smaller than you would wide, because you're going to add to it as you go. Pull that through, and before it gets all the way pulled through, put your fingernail there, or your finger, guide that so that it's right beside That's another attention to detail I want you to take note of when you're doing this. You don't want these going sideways and overlapping and you know, being messy. You want to make it as neat as possible. I can already tell that I've made this way too small, but again, it's because I'll show you why in a minute. We're going to come up to this side. And we're going to put that nicely beside. I don't want this to be up there either. So the way this was sewn on, there's a little section there that's not, for some reason, I don't know why that is. That doesn't even make sense. So I'm going to go a little bit higher. That's like attention to detail. I'm going to come up above that. That's edging there. Pull that down. Come back down. You can see how this is already starting to square off. This next one, I'm going to bring it down a little bit further, right underneath that point. Make it a little bit longer. You don't have to go back and forth from one side to the other. You can fill in one side and work all the way to the next if you like, or just back and forth, however you fancy. And I'm going to do that. Come down into that point. I'm going to make this one a little bit wider over here. So I'm going to go up onto this edge and come down. Going to go ahead and fill that in some more. So it's just a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, making sure that your lines are all nice and beautiful and straight. And from here, I'm going to go across to here, make this one a little bit wider. And you see when I bring this down, it's going to now match this side. Okay. I'm going to end up with it being just a smidgen wider than that too, but not very much. I kind of like how that's looking, but I need to fill in this section here. But I'm going to go ahead and fill in all of these big spaces first. And then once I get this part filled in and this part filled in, I'll come back and show you where we're at. All right, I have one more little piece here to fill in, but if you hold that there and you see it, this looks like it's not a nice finish. So what I always do, whenever I have my nose where I want it to be, the size that I want it to be, I always go and do the outside lines one more time. Okay, how come you moved over there? Oh, I need to put one more in there. So I'm going to go down here. That's my outline. I'm going to do the outline on this side too, because I should have filled that in before I did this. Then I'm going to go to this side and I'm going to finish this outline, making it straight. Then I'm going to go back up. There we go. Now my edgings are even. I'm going to go back up and I'm going to fill in this little space here and any other little space. I'm going to do one more going across here. I'm going to move my point down just a smidgen there. These are moving over on me as I'm talking to you. I thought I was done, but I'm not. But that's just how it goes. You got to just pay attention to all the little spaces and make sure they're filled in. When I fill that in, I like how my edge looks there. I'm not going to redo it. I'm going to just go down a little tiny bit. And then from there, I don't know if I have enough on here to do the mouth, but we're going to try to make it work. I'm going to go into that point. I'm going to go down, straight down, come out. I'm going to leave a little space. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to fill in that space there. That's perfect. And then I'm going to come back up to the point, back down to the base there. I'm going to barely make this work. And then I'm going to go up to the point and out where I came in, being very careful because I might not have a long enough piece. I do. I'm going to just barely make it work. There we go. I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to straighten out some of these rows. And there we go. We have a nice nose. It's not so big that it's overtaken the whole face. Sometimes you see noses that people will do from one side to the next there. And it's just way, way, way too big. I'm going to carefully tie a knot on this and hide it into the work. Taking our black yarn for the eye, we are going to come up on the side of the head and we're going to come just up from the nose and just off from the corner, okay? We're going to come down just a little bit and then come up. Not as at such a sharp angle that it makes a V. Just want to come down and up. Just so. Then I'm going to come down. I'm not coming down to the point here. I'm coming down over, and then I'm going to come down into the point there. You'll see in a second what I mean. Just like that. Then I'm going to make this like a square or a straight edge. But when I go in, I'm going to come up halfway into that black line. And then I'm going to come down halfway. Halfway, I'm meaning here's the stitch. I'm going to come halfway and then halfway up into that one. So they don't see any points. Nicely pull that. Come back down. You're going to go over to this other side. And we're going to repeat that. Don't think too much and it'll be easier for you. See how beautiful that is? Okay. So now I think I wanted to come up just a little bit closer here. So I'm going to put that back in and I'm going to come up half a row. Right there. I'm going to go down and over. Then I'm going to come down and up here. Did this one a little bit. It's the same technique, but I just did the rows of the stitches a little bit in a different order. But you get the idea. Down in the middle. Down in the middle. Back down into the middle there and the middle here. I'm going to go into the middle there and out underneath the stuffing and out the point of entry. Before I tie off, I'm going to assess. Love it. Going to tie off, hide my ends. Okay, friends, I took my little clover maker. It has a number 45 on the back of it. It's the second smallest in the pack of 4 clover pom-pom makers that I bought. I am not going to show you how to make that on this video because I have a video showing you how to use the clover pom-pom makers. You can look that up and I will show you how to do that, or you can just make your pom-pom your favorite way to do it. Okay, we're going to attach it. Picking up a little section here, then going through the same center. Except for not splitting the yarn on the inside. There we go. Pulling it, I'm going to make a knot. I'm going to cut off both of them. And there we go. There's our beautiful hat. I'm going to take one more strand of yarn, pop it onto my needle, and we're going to sew it onto the head. Friends, find the nicest part of your hat. This is where peg 31 and 1 meet, so I'm putting that in the back. Put it over top of that one ear. You're going to take this down to the neck. This other one up here goes to the corner of the neck, and this one covers the very edge of the eye. See? Just like that. We're going to sew that down later. But then you're going to go to the back. You're going to pick up that edge. And you are going to carefully sew it down. I'm going to pick up some of the head, pick up a piece on the edge. Go into the piece, pick up. I'm going to just pick up where my rows are, okay? Where my rows are here. I'm not going to go in between this time. I'm going to just go across, pick up where my row is. And I'm going to sew it on as close to the edge as I can so that nobody sees that I've sewn it on like this. I mean, they know it's sewn on, but you don't want to see those little lines, okay? Assess it as you do a few steps and then continue on, smoothing it out so it's nice and even. And then continue on. Sewing it so that it doesn't compress. You don't want to pull this so tight that it squeezes here and you got puckering there and puckering there. You want it nice and flat and don't compromise the look of it. Just sew it on with nice even stitches, making sure you don't see the lines, getting as close under there as you can, and don't gather this. Just let it sit nice and flat. Making it around to the back, I am going to tie a knot. And you got it. Hide my ends, cut them off. And last but not least, you're going to pull up on that beanie. Put your hand in there. Bring it forward just like that so that this is close to the eye here. You're going to take your yarn and you're going to come up through the head. Go back down. Come out where you went in. It's a little tricky. Hope I didn't go off camera just now. And you're going to tie a knot, hide your end. Isn't he just so sweet? I can't wait to see yours and your color combinations and the yarn that you choose to use. So please be sure and show me in my Facebook group. Also, friends, if you wouldn't mind posting in other loom knitting groups that you are in and putting the link with it, that would help my channel out greatly and I would appreciate it so very much. All right, friends, take care and have a blessed day.